Hey, hello, Angela. How are you?
I apologize for being late tonight.
Yeah, we had
Most of our
some.
people watch this after the fact, I know that, but I really do like being on time.
Yeah, I know. But again, we had somebody come in. We unfortunately couldn't do any other time but now, in order that they were serviced, and that meant that we were about half an hour late. All
Yeah,
right. So, okay, welcome everybody, and welcome to Spin Legal. Tonight, we're going to be talking about summary offence criminal actions. Right. So
mhm,
it may impact you, but again, let's talk about it. Let's see whether that is your situation. So, if you need to contact Invictus Legal, you can do so on 905-688-5598. Email Angela with angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself with peter@weareinvictus.legal, and check our website out, weareinvictus.legal. Okay.
absolutely.
Right. So, summary offences, they are crimes. So if you've been in a situation where a summary offence has occurred, typically what you've got is something. What you've got is it's tried in the Ontario Court of Justice only, so it's trial by judge alone. There's no jury, no preliminary hearing. There are lower penalties, typically either a maximum fine of $5,000. So there is actually one or two fines that are over $5,000. Um,
And
uh,
if there's jail time, it's 2 years less a day.
yeah,
Max.
and 2 years less a day if it's jail term. But
Yeah,
there
they
is one
moved it up
fine.
because it used to be 6 months in jail, and then they moved it up to 2 years less a day
Yeah, yeah.
because they think giving people more time is going to stop everybody from doing anything.
Well, that's a political argument anyway, Angela.
Yeah, you
Really.
know, I read these things and I just don't I don't believe in all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things about this is that you've also got no fingerprinting or mugshot required, um, under the Identification of Criminals Act. For straightaway summary offences, so versus an indictable offence or hybrid offences where the Crown can choose to elect summarily, or such as assault or impaired driving. They can require fingerprinting of the accused and mugshots under the Identification of Criminals Act. So those, when you get more serious, those are expected to be part of it. And I'm guessing also that, hey, I'm to use the word guessing, which was a bad thing for me. Essentially, if you're doing this, any pictures that will have been taken, let's say, as um, part of the record as you go for the, to the court. Say they saw you in a picture, it was Angela, she was taking the apple or something like that.
Hmm.
um those pictures would be destroyed in time, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
Right. So even though there's no mugshot of Angela making it to the court, that evidence that shows Angela picking the apple, which is made to the court, will be destroyed over a period of time.
Yeah, or Peter sticking his hand in there and grabbing a bunch of peanuts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That whole thing. But
Yeah,
again, whenever we talk about criminal procedures, what we need to also, first of all, start off and remind everybody is there are two key elements to any crime. So, and that doesn't change whether based upon the seriousness. It's the vast majority of them, you have to fulfill these two requirements. The
yeah, and
first
this
one,
is called you
the
have to
first,
have a state of mind. Actus
yeah,
reus. Actus reus is actually doing the act. This
yeah.
is the action that you're actually doing the crime. They got to prove that you've done it. And then the other
It's
one
your
is,
sticky fingers on the peach. They fingerprinted the peach, and it was your sticky fingers on it, right?
yeah,
Type
hmm,
of thing. The next element to that is that you have the right mental state.
yeah, you have a mental state, which is like I intent, like If you're dealing with fraud, that you intend to steal or deprive a government of money, so you're committing tax fraud or whatever, or you're trying to steal stuff from a store, so there's an intent. Okay, so this is the state of mind. I mean, there are some issues where they question the mens rea, some issues where the actus reus, where the identity could be an issue. So there's a number of things that get into the complicated areas where we do criminal law practice.
Yeah. Well, the point being is that you and I both know some people. I have met 6 of these people in my life, 6 sets of them, believe it or not, which
Mm-hmm.
are identical twins,
Mm-hmm.
right? I shouldn't know anywhere near 6 sets of identical twins, but I have met 6 sets of identical twins in my life, and you and I know a set right now, right? Honestly, if they wanted to confuse us, we would never be able to tell them apart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. There
Right.
are people who.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So, for example, the two ladies that I knew that were identical twins, I could tell them apart because one lady was plumper than the other one, slightly plumper.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And sometimes
That's the
one
only
wears
way.
their hair differently, or may put on more makeup than the other. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of different things that they might try to differentiate themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, but when they're younger, what they do is they try to dress alike and everything else, and then they play games on their parents.
And probably also play games on their boyfriends and girlfriends at times, right?
Yep.
But again, again, identical twins apart, you still have to actually prove that that person it was John Smith, and that he was at the bank on the 14th of July, or or
Mm-hmm.
whatever is the accusation that is being made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the mens rea is the mental state that you went, and there's a simple part about that, about mental state, is a crime is basically made out of 2 parts. The actual did it, the fact that you took the peach from the market stall.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you've got to know that there's something wrong about taking the peach from the market stall.
Yep.
If you were a simpleton, a person who has an IQ of, let's say, 75 or something or less, you might well be a person who doesn't know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm. There
So,
are different situations, or if they have something like schizophrenia and they might be in an episode,
yep,
or if they have Alzheimer's disease.
yep,
There's a lot of different things that
yeah,
could impact on what they call the mens
yeah,
rea.
yeah. And exactly, they might have done the act, taking the peach, right? But they didn't know that taking the peach was wrong, or they were in a wrong frame of mind at the time. Maybe that person normally knows that that is a wrong act, but
And it's
because
a very complicated road
yeah,
to hoe if you're going to try to make that type of argument. I've
and
done it. Usually it's more for less serious crimes
yeah,
where you can look at things where a person has mental health disorder or it's out of character, drug addiction, different types of things, because there's various types of diversions within the court system.
again, when you're meant with your identical twin scenario, you could have one identical twin that's absolutely the best behaved person in the world, and the other one that's a right kleptomaniac, and the first one is always being accused of the crimes of the second one.
Oh, yes. That's why some people hate being identical twins.
Well, I once was told that there was a Premier League football player that looked like me, and I have to admit that on the time when people said, "Yeah, you look like this guy," and it's like I looked him up and went, I never really thought I did because I knew who they were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
but I looked him up and went, "Wow, actually, yes, there is some similarities."
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was interesting. Okay. So one of the things about summary conviction crimes is that the maximum punishment is imprisonment for 2 years less a day.
And that's
But
a provincial facility, okay, not a federal
yeah, in a
facility.
provincial facility, not a federal facility. But again, a provincial facility might well mean that you're further away from home than you are in a federal facility, potentially.
There's some advantages in a provincial facility. There's advantages in a federal facility, depending on the issue that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And one of the problems that we have is that when we're looking at the correctional system, how the correctional system is operating,
Yeah.
and how you can tell the type of organization of how they deal with the inmates, what type of programming they have, what kind of access the inmate has to supports, counseling, job training, different things, depending on their crime too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that people go to,
Yeah.
and it's important. They can get medical care when they're in the facility, because they do have a section kind of like a prison hospital where people go.
Okay, so if you're something like a diabetic or something, you're going to be your needs are going to be taken care of.
Well, they should be, and there have been cases where people have been denied their insulin or medication, and that's very serious. They can't do that. And the thing is, when you're going in there, this is why you have to get through medical checkups, different things to make sure, and then you have to be seen by a physician to determine, to get some prescriptions within the facility.
Yeah.
Okay, so the person can continue on the same prescriptions that they were outside the facility, or perhaps get new ones if,
yeah. Okay.
Particularly if you're looking at a psychiatric disorder leading to it.
Okay, so in terms of, one of the things that's happened here is, because it's a lower level, and we said that there's no mugshot, there's no fingerprinting. It's tried by a judge alone, and that the Crown can choose to elect summarily in a hybrid case, but for certain things, does it mean that actually the police put less effort into summary type offences?
It depends. It depends on the offense. Like if it's if someone is threatening you, or if someone has assaulted you, yes, the police will take it seriously, whether it's a summary or a hybrid. But if somebody is like stealing, like groceries from a grocery store, it's less serious, but the stores don't like it. So the stores need to push this a bit. Okay?
Yeah, but okay. But then there was also another rule about with summary offences, that the accused must be charged within 12 months of the date of the offence.
Yeah, exactly. Because they do have a time limit where they do it, and they have to go in, read the information, and get it signed, and then serve the person with the notice.
Yeah. So, for example, we are now on the 7th of April. If the crime had occurred on the 1st of April, let's say, and the police officer was having to find that individual, they would have to find them, charge them within 12 months of the offence. So the 1st of April of 2027 would be the timeline they're working at.
Yeah. And the thing is, and this is what they do, I've seen it done, and I've seen people come in and say, I just got charged with whatever. And they have a charging sheet and information, what they call it.
Yeah.
And you go through it, what the charges are, and you review it. And it generally is accompanied by a court date that the person must go to court. Yes, sometimes they will do fingerprinting for summary too as well. I've had that with some cases where they had to go to the police station and get fingerprinting and so forth. But fingerprinting can also be deleted after a certain period of time.
Well, you see, for example, one of the proofs is, for example, the thief left a fingerprint in the shop where he stole $200 worth of groceries, etc. Fingerprint smack, because right there, boom, done, right? There's clear. The counter clerk said fingerprint right there, right? I've covered it over with a plastic bag so that there's no doubt that he did it, right? and the police officer says thank you, takes the fingerprint. Now you're doing when Joe Schmo comes up and he's charged, he's not charged, but he's going to be taken in for questioning. Now his fingerprint is there, and when he says I didn't do it, he says, what about the fingerprint that's on the thing? And obviously they've confirmed his fingerprint at that stage. He's sitting in the interview room with a black mucky hand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not that they need to do it with black mucky hands anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to scan.
Yeah, these are for pure summary offenses. Okay. Yeah. They don't generally fingerprint for pure summary offenses. That's like your trespassing case, or your like you defacing a coin. Hey, all these really silly cases these really silly cases that are out there, but it does happen. Hey, I don't know if they still have horse thief in there, but it's got to be in there.
So one of the things that are important to know is that many summary type cases are merely result in fines, and for most of the ones that result in fines, things like assisting a deserter, taking part in prize fights, nudity, causing a disturbance, lottery offences involving a ticket, and a few breach of so offences involve what was the other one I was trying to I missed it. Disturbing religious worship or certain meetings, or disturbing obstructing or violence of arrest of an officiating clergyman, right? Or disturbing a meeting. These are all kind of ones that are typically $5,000 maximum fine. But again, hey, it's your first offense, and you were running naked down Niagara Falls High Street. Are you really going to get $5,000 fine?
They used to have it where you had to get permission of the Attorney General to charge somebody with nudity at large.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, to be quite honest, because when was the last time somebody was, somebody was charged with nudity, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I see a lot of nudity, but not really the places where they would charge you with nudity.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the point being is that things like probably the vast majority of summary offences are going to involve fines. For example, one of these. So, what's soliciting near children?
Wow, that's interesting. Soliciting something near children. What are they soliciting?
Usually a 3-letter word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's actually a big list of these. Go look them up on the web, and you'll be surprised how many of them are. And as I said, there is one of them that is actually the maximum fine is $250,000. Do you want to know what that crime is?
What is that?
And this is a summary offense. It is financial institution that fails to comply with a production order.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's a maximum fine of $250,000. In other words, give us certain information, right? Mm-hmm. And do it by a certain date. Otherwise, you're going to be fined.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, and there's also things like failure to appear. There could be issues there.
Well,
failure to appear, and you have to appear at a certain point. You could be arrested, and that could be charged.
Yeah. I was going to say that's you can end up under a bail warrant as well, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah,
they're pretty strict.
And so you could end up spending days in jail because you failed to appear, and then you'd face the original charge that you had, and then you would also have failure to appear as a tag.
And that would be an additional overlaying charge.
Yeah. Right. And there's quite a few of them that are interesting. Now, there are contempt of court, for example, is something that should be thought about. There's a maximum fine of $100, but you can go to prison for 90 days for contempt of court.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the interesting...
And that's so discretionary sometimes.
Yeah. The interesting thing is about that is that if the court that you are in contempt of is a civil court, you can still go to prison for the contempt.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I remember trying to explain things to people because they were being sued, and they had an injunction against them as well as being sued financially. And then what they did is they put an order in there, and then we went to the Superior Court at that time, because at that time this lawyer dragged me into the Superior Court to assist these people. And then we did this, and I had to explain to them, you cannot, I said, you know what this means? It means that you cannot do this. You have to follow this order, or you can be found in contempt.
Yeah.
And you understand what contempt is, and that, it means that you can be put in jail for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't mean you're a criminal. It just means that you're in contempt of court, and it can get up there 90 days. I mean, this is, but people are usually quite understanding when they know that they could go to jail if they don't.
Mm-hmm. There's another interesting one here that is importing or exporting instruments or literature for illicit drug use, where it's the second or subsequent offense. You can have a maximum imprisonment for 12 months and a $300,000 fine.
Wow. Wow.
Right.
So in other words, I'm importing scales and different things?
Instruments or literature for illicit drug use. Yeah, you're telling people how to do it.
Oh, yes. Literature. So somebody wrote about how to make meth, how to cook meth, like a cookbook?
Yeah, probably. But again, hey, you could probably get the cookbooks on the dark web somewhere, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's there. It's there.
Figure that out in about 2.5 seconds, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so another one, there's some other ones here, and I don't know whether these have been updated. Offensive volatile substance. You can go to prison for 6 months, and you can have a fine of $5,000.
Yeah, exactly. That's a volatile substance where you're like if you're spreading poison around or something, I would think.
Here's another one for some thought for you. Just better be careful with who you're seen on the street with, Angela. Because transporting a person to a bawdy house it is 6 months and $5,000 fine. Found in a bawdy house.
Found in a
bawdy house is also the same, 6 months or $5,000 fine.
Is that where they found you?
I plead the fifth. I don't know what you're talking about. Right. Okay. So towing a person by vessel after dark.
Oh.
Right. That's an interesting one. A false claim of a royal warrant could get you 6 months in prison and a $5,000 fine. And again, importing or exporting instruments or literature for illicit drug use is a $100,000 fine and 6 months in jail.
So in other words, if you're selling cookbooks.
Yeah.
Like how to cook.
No, you're importing or exporting cookbooks.
Yeah. Cookbooks for meth.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. The first offense is $100,000 and 6 months. The second offense is 12 months and $300,000. There you go.
Did we know a chef one time?
Don't know any chefs. Don't know any chefs. All right, but remember with one of these, I've discussed there some that result in fines, some that result in prison time, And one of the questions about with anything like this, one of the things you always talk about is probation or alternative,
Diversion.
Pardon me?
Diversion.
Diversion programs, yeah.
These are how a lot of times we are able to help people through the criminal justice system. If there was an instance where, oops, this was a big mistake, okay? And it's a second chance, okay? So people can get help for whatever problem led to it.
Yeah.
And to do this, I had one person who went on security camera and stole from their employer, right on security camera. And
Well, that's going to get you fired, amongst other
yep,
things, right?
got fired, and they got him charged. The police came in, and it was hip hooray, all that one. So I managed to get him what he did with that money is he went out and bought himself a hit of cocaine.
Okay.
Okay. So what I did is I got him a diversion into drug treatment.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. And I said, there's a place on 60 James Street. It's called Cason, Cason. They will refer you for drug treatment. And I said, as soon as you get out of here, I want you to go there, and then I want you to report on all this. Because by the time we get to court, I want this already started.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way I can get them into drug treatment court and then get some kind of diversion on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It worked.
So obviously probation's an option, diversion is another option. Now, the one bit I had biggest trouble with earlier on, and I don't know whether I can find it out right now, is hybrid offenses. Talk a little bit about hybrid offenses.
Hybrid offenses are charges that can be charged summarily as a summary conviction offense or as an indictable offense. The Crown can elect that. The Crown makes that decision, and that is a non-appealable decision that is completely at the discretion of the Crown. There's various reasons why they may try it one way or another. Most of the time, hybrid offenses, especially for first offense, is usually tried summarily. But there are some times, like particularly when a person's a repeat offender and they keep doing it again and again and they don't seem to learn, then they might go for an indictable. Or the crime might be a lot more serious, where the person did a bank heist and they stole like $200,000. Then that'll go in indictable. And also, some things are clearly summary or clearly indictable, like fraud under, for example, or fraud over, or theft under, theft over, where theft over 5,000 do indictable.
So when you were talking about under, you're talking about 5,000 being the limit there.
Yeah, $5,000 or under. So, like, say for instance, I had a woman who went shopping one day and she took a whole shopping cart full of groceries out and intending just to put it into her car and drive off. No payment. She got caught.
Of course.
Yeah. So what we did is she went through a direct accountability program through John Howard Society.
Yeah. So a hybrid offense.
She didn't. I guess people get that way, and there's a lot of reasons. And they had to learn that this is wrong. So they did a thing about why shoplifting is not a great thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Primarily, we're talking about things like theft and that sort of thing, where as you said, they're done because the Crown can elect.
The Crown can elect, and there's sometimes that there's certain things that they have to, like especially combined offenses or different things, that there's things that are done at the same time, as the offense in question, and the Crown will elect. So they're just say, okay, I'm going to try this case summarily, and they do mark it down, and I'm proceeding summarily. Okay. Once they proceed summarily, for most of them, where the case could have been done and it's only up to 2 years less a day, then most of the time the paralegals could represent you. There are some other cases where you probably can't because, like, say, DUIs, you can't represent DUIs and as a paralegal,
Hmm.
although you can as a lawyer. And DUI offenses, you know, because of the severity and the kind of offense they are and how a person could really have got somebody killed.
Yeah. Well, the whole point about something like a DUI is that, in fact, actually the police are taking, or the prosecution is taking the stance that, in fact, actually that could result in a death if it's not taken seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are people who've done multiple DUIs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be jail time. There's
Well,
going to
personally,
be a license suspension,
yeah.
or even a license revocation.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are different things that could be done.
And personally, I support all of the above.
Yeah, and
Sling
then if
them,
somebody
sling them
goes
in
out
jail for the
and
rest of their
drive
life.
anyway, it's called driving while disqualified, and they can get,
Yeah.
and that also is a criminal offense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say put them in jail, throw away the key, and take away their driving license.
Yeah, and just forget about them.
Don't feed them. Don't no.
Somebody has to feed them though,
Yeah, I
and
know.
keep
I
them
know.
and
I'm,
maintain.
I'm being excessive. Probably excessive because of the fact that a lot of people don't like what happens when there's drink driving going on, and with good reason,
Well, we had groups like Mothers Against
right?
Drunk
Because
Driving, like that, and they've went lobbying, and other people have who have been hit by drunk drivers. They go and speak in schools and that about what's wrong with driving drunk
yeah,
and what happens. So these things are all part of a public education culture where we just say this is absolutely not acceptable. So now they
yeah,
have programs like they have designated driver programs where somebody picks up your car and then your car takes you home. So they
yeah,
can help you that way, or take a taxi or an Uber. So there's different ways that people can protect themselves.
yeah. And the key factor about summary conviction offences penalties is they are less severe. The crime is less severe, and the penalties are less severe. However, the point about anything with this type of criminal behaviour is, for example, if you do theft under 5,000 and you keep doing theft under 5,000, don't expect you're going to go back. You don't expect you're going to get 3 months, and you're going to get 3 months the next time, and 3 months the next time. No, it's
Yeah,
not going to
they're
happen.
not just going to get a slap in the wrist.
Yeah,
It's going to start getting harder and harder.
yeah, exactly.
And this is
Well,
one of the things. And the thing is, there's people who do this, and then there's also a mental illness where
yeah,
some people have kleptomania.
yeah. Well, I was going to say, and there are specialists that will actually negotiate non-jail time, say a diversion program or something like that, who will help a first-time offender through their problems. But again, if you reoffend, your legal representatives, well within their rights to say to you, I've helped you this time. If I see you back in the door with the same offense, I can't help you.
I told that one to somebody who must have went through his fifth or sixth suspended driving offense. And then I saw him. I just walked into the courtroom for somebody else that day. Then I saw him in court again. I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Another suspended driving." And I said, "You realize you're going to jail, right?" He
Mm,
said, "Yeah, I do." Because the last time I helped him stay out of jail for that.
yeah, yeah,
But this time he was going to jail, and I was actually here, and this was right in the building where our office was and where our jail was, and he
yeah,
was stuck in there and said, "Now, do you understand who put you in jail?" He says, "Yeah, I did." Hey, so is that going to stop? Hey, in the future, you're going to stop that? Hey, because people, because Sometimes people won't do that. And then there's other people, who do things because they can go to jail, and then 3 hots in a cot, they say.
Mm.
And I think that things have to be done where we're trying to see why people are doing things, because people do things for different reasons.
Yep. All right. Okay, that's interesting. Anything to add in relation to summary conviction offences?
Well, I mean, you don't always have to have a lawyer to defend you in criminal court. Paralegals can for strict summary offenses, and for most hybrid, where they are listed. And there's a book that we have that lists all the offenses we could represent people in. And
Yeah.
we're hoping to extend it to some, because there are common offenses that we understand.
One thing I would also point out to people is that you may have been told by the police officer that it's okay, everything is okay. You'll just have to pay the fine, and then you'll be good. Well, remember this, and remember it well. Yes, you might pay the fine, but in fact, actually now in 3 years' time, when you're looking for a new job, and they say, okay, we need a criminal record search, what's going to happen? You're going to fail the criminal record search, aren't
And
you?
this is what I try as the best way to try to divert away from a criminal record.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things we can do that will help people avoid a criminal record. Sometimes you can't avoid it, because sometimes it's a repeat offense. Sometimes it's a substantial, serious issue that you're still going to get a criminal record.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of time. So these are things that we do, but we try to minimize the impact. And I've been very successful in keeping people from getting anything serious. But I do tell people, who come in here, that they really have to watch it. So if they do, and somehow they manage to get through a probation or conditional discharge or something like that, that they have to be alert that they're not going to do this again.
Yeah. All right. And I think we can leave it at that point and remind everybody that if you need to contact us, it's 905-688-5598. Email Angela using angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself with peter@weareinvictus.legal. And of course, always go look up weareinvictus.legal, our website. All right. And just to finish off for today.
Yeah, so what you heard today on Spin Legal, whether this is in this show or others in the series, this is not legal advice. So whatever you say, well, I heard this on Spin Legal. It's about the equivalent of saying, I read this on Facebook, but, so these things. So if you need specific legal advice, contact our office and somebody will talk to you about what your rights might be and whether we can help you. Or you can go, or if you have a lawyer, or somebody, you have to get specific legal advice that applies to your situation, because situation is different.
Every situation is precisely a little bit different, and so get that advice. All right. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you all for being here, and we'll see you in a week's time.